Well, I will go ahead and introduce this is Conny Liegl, and she's going to talk to us about an interesting project where they took some student work and put it into, or built it into some maps, web maps for the library that she works at. She is a web and graphic designer for the Robert Kennedy Library at Cal Poly State University. Another interesting thing I found out about her while digging up her profiles online is that she chairs a Stress Busters group committee at the library, which is sort of charged with coming up with sort of creative ways to help students deal with stress throughout the day. So I don't know exactly how that fits into her work here, but I'm excited to hear about what she has to say.
And I'm happy to elaborate about that anytime. Thank you so much.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm Conny Liegl. I'm the senior designer at Robert E. Kennedy Library. We're at the beautiful Central Coast in San Luis Obispo. Oprah calls it the happiest place in America, so you should definitely come and visit. And one of the things that our university really embraces, this is our motto, the motto of the Mustangs is learn by doing. So we really want to employ our students in actual projects and really give them understanding of how the real life works and how business works and how they can apply all of the methods that they learn in school in actual projects. So yeah, some of the big mission and vision statements, we're fostering teaching, scholarship, and service in this learn by doing environment. And we're really trying to innovate. So we're very, very happy with experimentation at the university and especially at the library, which is a great place to be at because people don't really get pissed off when we fuck up. And I just dropped all of the F-bombs right there. So we really want to develop and inspire those whole system thinkers who can attack those real life problems that they're going to have later in their life and in their work. So yeah, we have around 19,500 students, all of them undergraduates, or most of them undergraduates, and about 3,000 faculty and staff that work on campus. And I'm part of the library. I'm a staff member there, so I'm the web graphics and user experience designer there. As you can tell from the number of job titles, you could probably add a couple more. So I got a lot to do. I'm really busy, which is why I have a team of 6 student assistants that help me doing the job that I do. And as a library, it's really going away from this concept of, okay, we're a big building with books where people come and all they do is read. This is really not what the library is anymore. There's no more shush and there's no more don't eat here. We have a cafe in the library. We have 5 floors where we're getting rid of more and more books and building more and more study areas. And our motto is really to be open, inclusive, and connected with everyone. We're trying to give them those hands-on problem-based experiences for students as well as for faculty. And I'm very proud to say that right now we're actually the nation's best university library. We've been awarded an Excellence in Academic Libraries Award. And it's really, we really want it for our student engagement. If you see those numbers, like we have over 50,000 student in-person visits a day. We had a record-breaking 1.4 million visits last year. It is amazing. Like they're sitting on the floors, they're crammed into every corner of the library. We're also hosting classes where students are being taught on how to do research and how to, use databases and books for their projects that they have to do in school. So it's really more than just a building of books, more than just a library. And one big problem that we faced was our really outdated wayfinding system. It was a mess. Those used to be our indoor maps, which derived probably from about 8 years ago, where we didn't have as many services that we offer now. I mean, we have tech checkouts, we have scanners, we have copy machines, we have a cafe, we have group study rooms, we have normal study areas, we have the books, we have, all kinds of resources in the library. And the designer who was there before me tried to somehow visualize that and get all of those different things on an indoor map. And it turned into this beautiful rainbow after we expanded, and we expanded our services. At some point, we ran out of colors, and we started using patterns, like for community gallery in the atrium, just because we didn't even, we couldn't even use colors anymore, because we kept dropping them on and on. We like copy and pasted little icons in there, so to give people some idea of where they can find things in the library. And honestly, it was just pretty unusable for everyone. We didn't have responsive maps on the website. We only had really basic images, and they were just hard to navigate. The hanging signage referenced those colors, but you didn't get another reference anymore, so you would see a brown sign that said A, which was books, A section, but it just didn't make any sense in the library. So we were really at the point where we said, okay, we have to update and correct this layout. A lot of the areas also changed. We keep, like I said, we keep adding study rooms and things like that. So our walls actually change. We knocked out a couple of walls. We expanded our PC labs. So all of that needed to be corrected, needed to be updated. And the maps, as we had them, were terrible to maintain. Moving a wall in those files was just a nightmare. And then, one of the goals, of course, having a clearer and more systematic color concept. We also had an architecture company consulting for us, and they kind of developed a vision for the future of the library on how to expand some of the spaces, how to represent our collections better. And they actually gave us 5 colors for each of our 5 floors. It's a whole color concept that starts with like the hot floor where we have the most students, which is red on the first floor. And then as you go up, we have 4th and 5th floor, our quiet study room. So as you go up, the colors turn colder and it goes into like the green, blue as you go up. So we needed to incorporate those colors. And we needed a much quicker way of actually finding ways around the library. Another part that we had online for about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years, was our computer availability maps that go along with that. We have about 300 computers throughout the library, just dispersed on each of the floors. And we needed an easy way to, in real time, show where computers are available. Because the problem that students always have is they start circling around. They're going to start in the first floor, they don't find anything, they get frustrated, they go to the second floor, and they try to find a computer. And we wanted to make that easy for them and say, well, go to the 5th, there's 3 computers available right there. So we needed to definitely update that. We have a responsive website since last 2013. We're in 15 now, so 1.5 years ago, we had the CSU first responsive library website. Yay! So we needed maps that adapted to that. We needed maps that are accessible, that are device agnostic, and that give us all those features and functionality. And since, like I said, I have already 5 job descriptions on my title alone, it would have been really hard for me to just, give so much time to that project, because that's a huge project of like redesigning all of the maps, making sure all of the files are up to date, going around the library, checking where the stacks are and things like that. It's a humongous project. And luckily, one of my design students was at the time looking for a senior project. And I said, well, Ben, if you want, you can have that one. If you want to take that on and redesign the library, that's going to, double, triple your portfolio right there, and you can actually be the person who leads this design and gets our new maps going. So basically, the only starting point we had were our colorful maps, and those are the architect's colors that we got assigned. And he said, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to overhaul all of the maps. I'm going to make all of the wayfinding signage new, take care of making them useful for our website, for our web applications, and introduce some icons that so that we can get rid of all those rainbow colors. And we really wanted that as a library to really demonstrate that master plan that the architects gave us, and also to give areas a strong visual identity. We have very open floors, but there was no visual guidance whatsoever. You would see down the floor, and it was just like a colorful mess. So we needed some visual identity that would actually guide you through there. So Ben Kiefer, my student assistant, took that on, did a lot of research, and specifically looked at the New York map redesign. Came out last spring. They overhauled all of their maps, and that's where he got the idea for like this dark, the dark background. And funny enough, he ended up doing it in kind of a wireframe style, which works really well for our library since, like I said, we are so experimental and things are moving around. So having this sort of wireframey, kind of unfinished look a little bit is actually perfect for us. It looks a lot cleaner. It's a lot more intuitive through the use of icons and colors. It is definitely accurate now. He took our actual building plans and redrew each of the lines and really made sure that those are all correct. And the nice thing is now that we had an illustrator, we could just export those maps as SVGs and have it as a basis for our web graphics. And so that's just kind of a detail of one of the maps. It's really simplified. It's a more intuitive look and feel. All of the book stacks always have those, floor colors, and you immediately see where you can go. I'll show you a little before and after. So this is our first floor, before and after, and I hope that you will agree that this is a lot more usable now. When we have print maps, we go along. We have legends on the side that explain the icons, and it's really quick and easy to reference those. One important thing for us was to really be strategic and systematic about our maps and about the looks of it. So Ben and I sat together and we thought of ways of how to structure all of the things that we offer in the library, all of those thousands of things that we have there. And we came up with 4 categories that magically worked for each of the floors. So we have services, resources, spaces and tech, and partners. A lot of partners actually sit in the library. We have the student ombudsperson, honors program, things like that. They all sit in the library too, so they needed their own category. And for some of the floors, like you see, the 3rd floor might not have all of those categories. There's no real services, there's no partners there, but it still works. You can easily scan those and reference them back to the map. And then we really carried through this design through all of the signage that we did. So this is a big map that's at the entrance of the library. Again, you have all of those floors. You have the services, resources, spaces, and tech. We found an easier way to put our hours on there because we have to update those every quarter. And then as you go through the library, you reference that back with the book locations. You get the color concept. You know which floor what is on. And it's become a lot easier and a lot more decluttered. Those dark backgrounds work really well. We have a concrete building. It's a lot of concrete. It's a brutalist building. So that works really well on a concrete column or a wall. It looks beautiful. We also carried those designs through to our digital signage. So this is a screenshot from our digital signage. We have 8 in our library on each floor by the elevators. You see kind of a news update, what's happening, what time is it right now, when are we open right now. We're feeding those hours from a Google Calendar that feeds to the website and also the digital signage. You also see how many computers we have available right now, how many laptops and iPads you can check out from our checkout desk. So those are things where we really work together with our programmer in the library to make that cohesive and give everything the same look. Here's the icons that Ben has introduced, again for services, spaces and tech, resources, partners, and then we have the essentials like bathrooms, transportation, emergency. So he did all that within half a year. I mean, it's as a student, you know, it was an amazing amount of work. We were a little behind schedule, but we got it done, and it's just beautiful. Everything that he did, we also user tested. You know, we wanted to make sure it's actually working for our users and our students and faculty. And it's always a little hard to do user testing with students if you don't have budget. And we don't have a budget. And students have so much to do with their work, with their research, writing papers. They don't really want to sit down for user studies as a focus group. You know, it's very hard to get them to come somewhere for half an hour, and just have them sit down and give me some input. And what the library has is a student library advisory council, which are volunteer students from each of the colleges that advise us on all things library. They're really our think tank. They give us feedback and input on any of our programs, on our furniture, on communication channels, policies, everything. We can really like run off ideas and just brainstorm with them, which is really nice to get that immediate feedback from students. So we consulted with them a lot. They also bring out a big survey once a year that has a response rate that is amazing. Like 1,000 students take that every year. If any of my surveys would have a response rate, I would be happy. So we're putting questions up on there. And students are really responsive to that group because they're their peers, you know, and they bounce ideas off their friends. Like they hear something that we tell them, and they bounce it off their friends, and then the next week they bring it back. So their suggestions are really heard. Like they said, we need more soft seating furniture. Okay, so we bought lounge chairs and everything. And students really appreciate that. They know we listen to them. So we checked a lot of those developments on the maps. We checked with this group. We checked with our stakeholders, of course, and a couple of volunteer students. But this was one of our big focus groups. So yeah, so we had our maps. Ben did a great job. And now we needed to move them online, you know. We want to do something digital with that. So we printed them all out. Library was beautiful. Now we had to move to our responsive website and actually get them on there. And our programmer discovered snap.svg. Oh, snap. It's a JavaScript library for the modern web. That's their motto. And the nice thing about Snap is that it works with previously generated SVG graphics. So you can feed anything into that framework that you did in your Illustrator, Sketch, Inkscape, and it's just going to take that and you can develop features on top of it. For us, it was a big selling point that this is open source. It's free. Didn't cost us $1, which is very nice. And for the implementation, our programmer hooked our database up with the framework. Our database stores information about each and every of the computer that we have. It gives location, availability, if it's taken right now or not, what type it is, because we have different software loads. We have computers for like architecture students that have all of the software that they need, as well as you know, kind of like the low-level computers if you quickly want to do something in Word, you don't need to load this whole software package. So we have a database with all of that, which is great. And the front end now displays computer in real time on that preloaded library map. So all of the dots, and I'm going to show the live version of that in a second, all of the dots are actually computed on top of the existing maps. And we can now manipulate different elements that were implemented with the Snap SVG. So as those are basically just our coordinates, we can tell them to, you know, react differently. Pop up. I hope this is going to work. I can see it here. Okay. So on our library website, this is us live, responsive. You can check the computer availability right here currently. So we got some bootstrap going in here, and you can choose whichever location you want, and you see in real time, it's updated once a minute, which computers are available. So the gray ones are taken, the green ones are still available. And you can really go through each of the floors. You can zoom in. And you would see, okay, this computer is still here, so you could quickly run up to the 5th and you could grab that one. So it's not really a reservation system. It's really just to see which ones are there. So the ones that are red and crossed out, for example, there's a class going on right now. So those computers can't be taken, and you can't really access those rooms at the moment. So this is kind of the first stage that has been live since this quarter. And we're doing a lot of development on top of those right now. Sorry, this apparently always takes a little bit. All right. And of course, we have some challenges that we're trying to tackle with this. We need to real-time calculate all of the 300 computer locations and availabilities across all of the different software loads, devices that we have. We still need to make it usable and intuitive. We don't want to put so many labels on the actual map that you wouldn't find your way anymore. So we're looking at implementing an easier legend right now. Of course, we got to address accessibility issues, which I'm going to have an example later on. And then, since we have the responsive website, it's really important that the map scales down. We accomplished that. But right now, we have issues. For example, if you scale it down on your phone and you see the whole floor, it turns into something really, really small, like the dots are minimal. So we got to address that and kind of work around that. And then, of course, we're a university. We always have to, deal with FERPA and student data, student rights, and security issues. So we need to make sure that this thing is locked down. A couple of the upcoming challenges, therefore, is our accessibility. Our accessibility features, which I'm going to show you. So this is a prototype that our programmer did. Since right now, it's not really accessible yet.
Now in window, image. 0,
so he tried.
Floor 1 button.
If you would reserve a computer in our PolyConnect lab, it would actually highlight your computer there, but also read out exactly what it's showing you. I don't know if you can hear that.
Computer 114B01 is highlighted. Content following this line displays a graphical representation of the map.
So we're experimenting with styles like that right now to really make it more accessible and to make it easier for our students with disabilities. All right, there we go. Another really, really cool development that our programmer is working on right now. So this is all based on the maps with the Snap SVG. And he's just developing features on top of it. One thing he's working on right now is the heat map. We always have a big issue in the library, similar to the computers, is like, where do we have space? Where do kids go? Which floor is full to the max? And is there an easy way for them to look up where can I go within those floors? And Carl Hunt, our programmer, had the genius idea of actually just counting the connected devices to our Wi-Fi hotspots to determine how many people are in a certain area. And I mean, we know this is not going to be perfect, but it's probably going to give us a pretty good way to just see, okay, this general area is super busy. If you go to the other corner over there, you're actually going to have a better time finding a study spot. So what he did is he basically dissected the library into quadrants, and he's counting all of the connections that go through the Wi-Fi that's to the hotspot that's sitting there. And for us, it would be really interesting too, because knowing which floors are busy when and which study areas are really popular and which aren't, for us would be tremendous knowledge. You know, for facilities, it would make so much more sense to actually know we need more soft seating because the soft seating is always full. You know, or the study room over there is always full, and the study room over there has never been used. So we could change our wayfinding signage, etc. So it would have so many implications. And I'll show you where he is right now. So this is heavy work in progress. It's not live yet. This is what it looks like right now. Like maybe I can make this a little smaller. So we have the live. So this is all live data right now. This is how busy it is. The more red, the more people are there. And we really want to keep that as kind of a simple way for students to see, oh, you know, this area right now is really busy. Apparently there's a lot of people sitting on the balconies. I'd rather go to the third floor where, you know, almost everything seems open. So this is really a work in progress. We're trying this out right now. A nice feature that he added, I'm going to go to our lab because you can see it nice. You can actually play the time. If it does it. Oh yeah, it does it. So it's going to show us the progression from this morning at 7 to now of, you know, this is how it changed. So we could look at the whole library. We could look at our second floor and see the progression from this morning to now and really see which of the areas are taken. This is where our cafe is. There's usually a lot of people there. Lots of new seating over here. Classrooms. So it really gives us a great idea of what's actually going on. The system is not perfect yet. We do have a couple of hiccups that he ran into, unfortunately. He's trying to solve that right now. So this is kind of a better representation of the actual Wi-Fi hotspots. And the problem is really the abstraction, the accuracy of the data. So what he did is he basically saw the connections to the Wi-Fi hotspot, and then he ran down and he checked how many people are really there. And of course, you know, with the hotspot connections, it's like I could sit on the 5th floor but still be connected to the 4th floor. So there's definitely going to be some discrepancies. But we were hoping it would get accurate enough to give us an idea. So he's working on the reliability of the numbers right now and doing research whether it really works in the way we want it. Another problem we have is we don't really have a max capacity for most of the areas we have. Like, when do we call it full? When do we set our red squares to be, you know, this is like dark red right now, don't go here. So we need to kind of come up with numbers and metrics to get an idea about that. And then, as usual, we're having the FERPA rules, so we need to anonymize all of our user data. Need to make sure that we are open, transparent to our students to kind of tell them this is what we're doing, but we're not publishing your data, you know. Yes, we're counting you being connected, but we're not actually saying, oh, John Miller is sitting on the 5th floor right now. You know, everybody who wants to have a conversation with you, go over there. So it's definitely in progress. We need to do outreach and more testing with our users and really make sure that students are in the loop and they know what's happening, so it doesn't seem like we're stalking them or something. So we don't want to sound creepy when we do things like that. Yeah, and this is really an important chapter for me because I think, and as I was preparing for the talk, you know, most of this work is not my work. It's student work. A student redesigned all of the maps. We had our programmer and our web developer student assistant working on the implementation of Snap SVG. You know, I didn't do that. I'm not a programmer. So it's really important to see your students, and if you can, you know, do internships or have students, to see them as partners in discovery. If you mentor them effectively and you collaborate with colleagues, your students can really excel. You know, you have to give them time. You have to give them the opportunity to experiment. But this is the real learn by doing experience. So this is Beebe. He's my former web developer student assistant who actually won Cal Poly Outstanding Student Assistant of the Year. And not just Cal Poly, he also won California, and then he also won Western Region. So he is the best student assistant there ever was. He's amazing. And like, he did so much for our website with the maps implementation. I can't even list everything. But he was working for us for like 3 years, and he just went through the roof. This is our university president, by the way, Dr. Armstrong, giving him his prize. And those are some of the things that students working for me said, you know. It's working on the maps made me think outside of the box. Perfect. Creating an application which considers many factors as why a user is referencing our maps. So they already get this kind of user experience thinking in there. You know, they have a real problem to work with. And he said that now it's helping him think about other projects. You know, he thinks about those user experience issues. He's really referencing to the first-time users of the library. You know, this will be their first point of reference. And he says, and this is really like my tear-up moment, you know, like I take pride in knowing my work makes others' lives easier. What more would you want? You know, like that is a happy student that's happy with his work, that likes to come in the morning because we gave him that freedom. Because we were like, okay, this, you know, dude, this is yours. Make it happen. And a lot of people are a little scared of that, you know. It's like, oh, I got to give up control. Who knows what they're going to do? But it's not giving up control. It's really just handing responsibilities over. So this has been our graphic design student who worked on the maps. And he's really the lead designer, you know. I was like, this is your thing. You're going to design this. And I'm kind of the project manager. I'm keeping you on time. Here's your budget. Here's the milestones we need to reach. And I kind of checked in with him. But it's not like I told him, you know, you need to do this as a wireframe with a dark background. That's all his work. I would never have done that. So the important part is like give pointers and directions, but don't give them orders. Don't order them to do it a certain way. That just doesn't work. Teach only what you're good at. You know, I can't teach that guy Illustrator. Because honestly, I'm sitting there and I'm amazed about what he's doing. I don't even have a clue how it works. Honestly, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I've never even seen someone do that with Illustrator. You know, I can do my little things, but he's just an expert at what he's doing. So I can teach him the things that I'm good at. I can teach him business strategies. This is how a hierarchy works in an office, which they're not used to. We have mostly undergraduates. This is like their first job. They've never been in an actual business environment where you can't just walk up to the highest boss and have a drink and, you know, bounce ideas out. It's like, that's not how it's going to work. So you can really teach them what you're good at and then also learn a lot from them. It's important to really take them seriously. That guy knows what he's doing. He's sitting in class learning the best state-of-the-art technologies, techniques that you can learn right now. Like my knowledge is 10 years old. You know, when I learned that, that's been a while. And maybe I did the Linda class or I went to a conference, but this guy knows exactly what he's doing. What helps us always in the office is like talking and sketching together. So we get each other's ideas. We just bounce ideas off. And it's like, oh, did you mean this? Could you sketch that? And then, you know, we're sketching back and forth, and that really helps to understand the concepts. And, you know, maybe he would draw it in a way where I would go, I'm pretty sure our boss wouldn't go with that, or I'm uncomfortable with that. Why don't you do it like that? So that's a really good way to kind of get together and work on that. It's very important to listen, and not just to listen about their work issues, but also just their personal issues. You get a lot of little side stories that they mention on the side, and kind of reacting to that is very important. You know, like this is the third night I've been up. Maybe go home. You know, like you're done for the day. Just go home. Watching them, learning from each other, and letting them experiment. Let them fail, and that's okay. and they can fail. You know, I wouldn't give him this project as his first big project. He's been working for me for like a year, and then he got that project. So he had a lot of little projects that just went horribly wrong, and that's okay. We always fixed it, and our end client didn't really notice it in the end, because I knew, okay, I can give him that, and you know, we can still get it done on time. Important for me is keep the shit away from them. I'm not, and you know what your shit is in your organization. Don't let them work with the most complicated clients. You know, the one that you know is going to come back and say, make it pop and make it pink and make it better and blow it up, but I don't really have an idea how to do it, but make it. That's not what I want to give him as his first work experience. You know, I want to give him something that's valuable to him. So yeah, keep the shit away from them. And then have fun. Have a lot of fun. We are, I want to say forcing. We are forcing our students to document their process. No, we give them the opportunity. We have a blog where they can blog. We have a digital media specialist that they can work with to make videos about what they're doing. And Ben actually did a little video about his senior project, and I just want to play it because it's so cute. So that's Ben, front of our library. And he did the whole art direction and everything himself, all his ideas. So he's starting on the first floor. You get to know our library too. Up to the second. And those are some of the signage that he was working on with the maps. You see some of the wall colors have changed already. This is kind of what we got from the architects. We need highlight walls in those colors. And now we're trying to create this visual identity of areas. So now you know. You come here and you can scan and print, and you can see it all the way from across the floor. You know, this is your information desk. And he was very happy. Up to third. And you can just see, I mean, he wouldn't do videos like that if he wouldn't like it, I think. And those are also great portfolio pieces. You know, he's going to put that on his LinkedIn. He's going to share it with others. Gives the library great reputation. Gives us great, you know, learn by doing experiences. We're really doing that. So we can use it for our social media. He can use it for his outreach. He's going to share it with all of his peers. We immediately got more followers. So it's really a mutual, I love that part. Yeah, it's really a mutual benefit. So those are all of the hanging signs he has designed. It's basically his library now. We were joking, we're just going to call it Benjamin Kiefer Library. That's, you know, looks like him. Yeah, and we have them everywhere. So you come in, welcome to Candy Library. There's big posters there. And that's like one of the ways how you can engage students. And it's just, I don't know, I mean, it's amazing to see that for me. To see them having fun, to see them advance in their careers. He just graduated, going on to his next amazing job. And for us, that means, okay, we get to deal with new students, and we're going to have to come up with new ideas. So our next steps, now that we have the digital implementation with the Snap SVG, is making really a layered layout of all of the library maps. Currently, we just have the SVGs on our maps pages. So we have that kind of responsiveness. But what we want to do is we want to make it interactive. We want to give them buttons similar to the computer availability where you can choose your floors, where we could, you know, it's like show me the bathrooms, and it would highlight those bathrooms, like they would kind of come out and blink. We want to design our legends better. We really want to review our accessibility features and make sure that it's compliant with everything. This quarter, we're going to do a lot more user studies, in particular for the mobile experience. I have a web developer student and a graphics student that are really interested in UX right now, so I'm going to get them trained up and have them lead some user studies and do some research, develop scenarios, do some storytelling there. And then we have a lot of ideas and a lot of plans that we want to do with those maps. For example, our catalogs. If you're looking for a book right now, you get a call number, and then you're going to write that down on a piece of paper, and then you're going to look at the map, and then you're going to start walking and hoping you're going to find it. We want to link those together. You would click on that call number, and it would bring you to the map and highlight the stack where your book is located. It might not say it's on the third shelf at the bottom, but it will give you a general direction, which is way more helpful than anything else we have right now. Another thing that students are interested in is like a group finder, finding study groups in the library, finding each other. You know, my friend is somewhere in the stacks on the 5th floor. Having that opportunity for them to maybe tap something on their phone and then sending it to their friends, and would give them that location and they know exactly where to go. Possibly a whiteboard or seating locator. I want to highlight all of the soft seating in the library, and it would give me areas where the soft seating is. And then hopefully we will get a touch-enabled screen. We're hoping for our lobby and maybe another area on the 1st floor where we would have our full directory loaded, and you could say, okay, I want to visit Conny Liegl, and it would actually give you little footsteps on how to get to my office. So those are some of the things that we're thinking about right now and trying to find ways to make that happen. And again, we're relying heavily on student involvement. We have a hackathon coming up next week, and our programmer just sent me an email where he actually sent me links to our API and library map framework, which I'm happy to share with anybody here. So we really do foster collaboration and innovative ideas. You know, if I give them that framework, God knows what they're going to come up with. You know, maybe they're going to solve all of our problems, or maybe they come up with a completely new thing that is their problem that they want to solve. Last year, it was really successful when we went to the hackathon. We gave them library challenges, and one actually won the 1st prize and won the 3rd prize. So it's really important to them. It shows us the library means something to them, and they want to solve problems. So yeah, I heavily encourage you to involve students, get them to work for you. It would be really interesting for me to know what you are looking for in students, so we could maybe, you know, as industry partners, to maybe see what skills we could develop. And then, like I said, if you would like to work with our framework on the maps, you know, I'm also happy to connect you to our programmer. We're probably going to start having like a GitHub too, where we're going to store some of the code, if not all of it. So it's really about sharing and learning from each other and, you know, creating something new and solving a lot of problems. Thank you very much. Look me up at Conny Liegl is my Twitter handle. Follow Rec Library for new developments. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. Thank you. Any questions?
Why was it important that, as a library, you had a responsive experience?
Because we have such a broad user base. You know, like, first of all, we have all the students from all the colleges. We have community members, and we have faculty, staff. You know, basically, everybody's looking at our site, right? Students are more and more on their phone. We see our stats, like the numbers double, triple every year. We need it to be responsive. I don't think you can't have a website anymore without being responsive. That's my opinion. And since we had the chance to really move, we had like thousands of hand-coded pages, and I moved them to a WordPress system. and really did a full new information architecture. We went through the structure. We eliminated about 80% of the content. And we now went to a distributed model of web editing. So we have 10 web editors in the library now, which is very nice. Takes a lot of work off me. I'm not the bottleneck anymore, you know. I lost my monopoly, but that's okay. But yeah, if you're not responsive today, I think it's embarrassing a little bit. You know, I think you just have to be. There's so many devices out there. You have to be responsive. Yeah.
Just a more general question. Like, where do you see like the library system going? What do you think about the library? If you could project 5 or 10 years from now, what's happening?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely moving away from books. Every year we're removing thousands and thousands and thousands of books. Because students get used to that idea of having everything delivered on the spot. They want a PDF rather than a book. So it's definitely going to be less and less and less books. There's a lot of ebook initiatives. There's a lot of databases that the CSU starts actually to work on a unified library management system where they would share all those resources. So all of those databases would be available for all of the CSU libraries, which would solve a lot of cost issues. And I really think it's turning more and more into a study space, a collaboration space, a maker space. A lot of libraries start having like maker labs where students can really work together and build something. Because it's one of the only places on campus really where you get this interdisciplinary, you know, just like clash of all of the colleges. This is where they come together. You know, like the engineers build stuff in their engineering department and the graphic designers design something in their graphic department. But this is really the place where those guys can go together and come together and have those kind of think tank ideas and brainstorm and build something really cool that's interdisciplinary. So I think that's going to be the future of the libraries. We just had a big discussion in the library, actually, and a lot of librarians are very scared about their jobs. You know, oh my God, we're all going to be replaced by robots, by software, by whatever. I don't think so, honestly, because I think a big issue we have these days is like, you know, I see my phone. I get 10,000 pictures on my phone that I never look at because I don't have a way of categorizing them nicely. And the algorithms that are out there are just not good enough. So I think the librarians, with their categorization thinking, you know, I think that might be a way to really excel for them, to tell people those are your resources and here's a selection for you, you know, because we always have everything available, everything. But you don't really know anymore what's important, you know. You Google something and you click the first 3 links because everything else, you know, who goes to the 5th page? Nobody does that anymore. It's like you want it right there. And I think librarians can really be in the position of giving you that option and saying, you know, here it is. You wanted that? There you go. That was easy, you know. So it's more of this service thinking. So yeah, I think collaboration space, maker space, and the people who are getting you the information you need.
More like content curation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you.